I'm all about taking the guesswork out of the strength training for you because I know that for most of us, the running is the part that we really love and that we want to focus on, and we are training for a running event that is already taking up a lot of our bandwidth, time, mental energy, physical energy, all of that. So as a running coach who works with athletes prioritizing their running, often training for something like a half marathon or marathon, my goal is to provide effective strength workouts that are as simple as possible so you will actually do them. So in this video, I'm sharing with you why you need to follow a strength program, where in your week to put those strength sessions, what to target within the body in those strength sessions, and ultimately an exact program that you can follow starting right now that will fit in very nicely with the run training that you're already doing. So let's start why you have to have strength training. And the first thing that I want to tell you is that strength training is not optional. So you might be thinking, I don't want to lift weights. I only want to run. That's what I like to do. And I am training for this big running race. Now we could get into a big discussion about how strength training is important for really everyone in the entire population. But let's just go ahead and keep this running focused and why you need to be strength training as a runner. Number one, it makes your risk of injury drop significantly. So I have read a lot about this and have worked with many athletes and seen this with my own eyes, but I pulled one particular study that said exactly what I'm saying here. It says in this study, the addition of 2 sessions per week for 18 weeks resulted in an 85% lower likelihood for recreational runners to sustain a running-related injury compared with runners who did not perform the program. And the most important part about this study is that these were people who were highly compliant with the workouts and actually doing them 2 times a week as opposed to sporadically. So that's one of the biggest things here is we are talking about consistency. You need to be consistent with the strength training once you get started within that program that you're doing. And number 2, over time, it will improve your speed by improving your movement patterns, leading to better running economy. So you're not only going to become a more durable runner that's not getting hurt, but you're also going to become a faster and stronger runner as well. So the second big thing that I want you to know about putting strength training into your run training program is that it doesn't have to fit perfectly into your week. Now, a lot of runners have probably heard this phrase, keep the hard days hard. And that can mean several different things, but one particular thing that I've heard and said myself in the past as an ideal is that your strength sessions should be put on a hard run training day. So such as a speed session day, maybe it's a stride session day, or even a long run day. Those would be considered your hard efforts. And then you also have your recovery runs and your easy runs, and those would be considered your easy days. But this is where I think a lot of runners run into problems and then don't do the strength training because it doesn't really fit very well on their hard day. And then they don't get to it, and then they just don't do it at all because they think it's not supposed to be on an easy day. So my stance as a running coach is that I want you to do the strength training. It's not as easy for me to just say it always has to be on this day. So I always like to come back to the philosophy is the best workout is the one that gets done. And so ultimately you have to decide how you're going to fit it into your week the best so that it gets done. The third thing to know is what types of exercises to do so that you're targeting the right muscles and areas of the body. So ultimately, strength training for runners should focus basically on the core and below. Now, that doesn't mean that you want to just ignore your arms altogether, but my particular workouts that I'm going to be talking about here are core and below because that's what we want to focus on to become a stronger and more durable runner. Should you put in some bicep curls and tricep extensions for good measure? Absolutely, that's definitely what I like to do as well. But ultimately, number one, having a strong core means that you're able to hold your upper body upright and minimize any unnecessary side-to-side movements that we don't want you to have while you're running. And then second, from your hips and glutes down, it's basically working as an entire chain. And so you want to be targeting all of those muscles of the lower body, starting with the hips and glutes. Now, for an example, is that someone might have a knee injury and think about only the muscles that, or ligaments, or, what's happening within that joint around the knee, when the injury is actually stemming from a weakness in the glute medius or somewhere up above. And so that's why it's important that you are targeting all of these muscles within the lower body. So I have 3 different strength sessions that I am going to provide to you. That's really all you need to include into your half marathon training or marathon training or whatever type of running program that you're doing. They are all free on YouTube and they all focus on core and below. Different foundational movement patterns are targeted so that you know that you're getting a well-rounded program. So these can initially be done with body weight, which is what I recommend if you are a beginner to strength training and just starting out. And then week after week, as you get stronger, you can start adding on the weights, or if they are some of the glute and hip exercises, you can be adding resistance bands, which are great for making those even more beneficial as you get stronger, which is essentially what you need to be doing. You want to be thinking about progressively overloading, and so that you're actually making those muscles continue to get stronger over time as you're getting used to the body weight or the lower weight and adding more and more on over time. Okay, now we're on to the last most important part, is implementing the strength program alongside the running that you're already doing. So one of the biggest questions that I get is, how much strength training should I be doing? How many times a week should I be doing these sessions, and for how long? So ideally, I would say getting in 3 per week is best. But I also want to make this very realistic for you. And again, something that you're going to do. So if you can consistently get in 2 sessions per week, that is what I call winning. And really, if you can think about having an absolute minimum of 20 minutes per session, so we're talking 40 minutes per week at a minimum, that is a great spot for you to be. So in order to commit to these 2 sessions per week, I recommend doing the hips and glutes workout that I'm going to show you once per week, so every single week. And then I have 2 lower body and core workouts. There's number 1 and number 2. And what I recommend there is that you are alternating those every other week. Now, if you can find 3 days per week to do all 3 sessions, that's awesome as well. So I'm going to show you my beginner marathon training plan that I have available for purchase on Final Surge. I already have these strength training workouts implemented within the program right there, linked to the YouTube videos so you don't have to go hunt and find them. And obviously all of the run training that you need to be doing as you train for your marathon is there as well if you are interested. So I'm going to just go ahead and scroll through here so that you can see what I have. I have the strength sessions, core and lower body, number 1 and number 2, alternating every other week. And then I have hips and glutes every single week. The nice thing about Final Surge is if you don't want these on this day, you can easily move these around within the week so that you get them done on the day that you want. So I think where a lot of us are making strength training way too complicated is that we are trying to do all of these different movements and target different muscles and all of these fun workouts that we see on TikTok and Instagram. And then suddenly our head is just spinning with what to do and when. And people think that that's what you're supposed to do, to be changing it up all the time. So if you're asking, is it okay that I'm just doing the same workouts every single week? Yes, absolutely. Again, going back to that progressive overload, we want you getting stronger over time. So as you notice that the exercises are getting easier with body weight, for example, then add a little bit of weight on. If the little bit of weight is not enough, add more. You can also be adding more reps. If you start with lower reps in the beginning, that's another way to make these more challenging as time goes on. So instead of piecemealing a bunch of workouts together that may or may not get done, probably not get done, complete these with intention week after week, and you will become the stronger, faster, more durable runner that stays injury-free that you want to be.